today we're going to make a witch's cape. Now, I was going to print this pattern, but you don't actually need to have that printed. All you need to do is take a piece of fabric and cut it at 15 inches straight across. Now, I went into Poundland, and this was advertised as a tablecloth, and it's got some lovely bat print on it, and it's quite nice and lacy, and it's got a lovely sort of beveled end to it, so I thought that would make a really nice cape for one of the dolls. So I'm just going to fold it in half, getting all the pieces lined up, and then I'm going to lay it on my table so that the end of my fabric is touching the board. If you haven't got a board, that's okay. You can just take your ruler and mark it up where you need it to be, and then bring your fabric onto it, and you would just put a pin on this side. So you'd measure that side at 15 inches and you'd measure this side at 15 inches and put a pin there, and then you could draw a line across the fabric using a pastel or a white pencil or a piece of chalk, whatever you might have, and run a line across there and then cut it. But what I am going to do is I have a ruler for quilting, so I'm going to use that, and I'm going to lay it on my board, and I'm going to place it on the 15-inch mark. Now, you could just take your dress scissors, making scissors now, and cut across that. But what I actually have for quilting is this, it's called a rotary cutter. Now, some people use these instead of scissors all the time. I use this mainly when I'm quilting, because I do like to use my scissors for most of the other cutting. It is really, really sharp, so I would recommend if you were a child not to do it. I have got scars on my hand from where I had to have stitches because I managed to cut through my hand when I was trying to do it this way, and I had my hand here like this and I went straight into my finger. So I would recommend scissors if you're a child and not using this. Okay, and then you just run your cutter along that line, and that should cut it all the way along, give you a nice straight cut. You can use this with something else. Okay, so here we have the piece of fabric. Now what we're going to do now is we are going to take the fabric and we are going to make a 1-inch faux. Now, it doesn't really seem to have a back or a front. I'm not quite sure how it would go. So I'm just going to lay it like that, and then I'm going to take my fabric and I want to place that on 1 inch like that on my board. You don't have to do that. You can get your a piece of card, and you can take it and you can draw 1 inch line on it, just like that, going all the way along, and then make a mark, draw your line on it, and make that inch fold over. Okay, but I'm just going to fold it over on mine just so that you can see it here quickly. So that's 1 inch, and I'm going to put my pin hiding away just in there, and I'm going to pin it all the way along. Okay, so you're just going to get a little pin in there just like that and run it all the way along. Now, if you want to, you can take that fabric and fold it over, but because it's not fraying or anything, I don't think that there's any need. So I'm just going to put mine flat like that and pin it all the way to the end. So I have my fabric pinned all the way along, and there is my, don't know if you can just see that, that's where the 1 inch fold is. What I'm going to do is a few back stitches just in there at the beginning, then straight stitch all the way to the end, making sure I'm on that piece of fabric is definitely going underneath the foot. When you get to the end, just do a few more back stitches. So now I've got some metre of gold organza ribbon, and I'm just going to take the end and I'm going to pop a safety pin in it, do the safety pin up. Where we have sewn along there, I'm going to place my pin in there. I'm just going to pull it all the way to the end, making sure I don't pull this end through. Just makes it so much easier to pull it through. You could do this with a hair grip as well if you've got one of those hair like pins, I think they call them. Right, okay, so then you're going to take your ribbon, take your pin out, and you're going to get both ends together and you're going to just pull it through, okay, and then gather up your cape to where you want it to be. And I think it would be a good idea if I try it on. Here we go. I'll just sit down here a moment so that you can see it around my neck. Let's just sit me down. Okay, and then what you want to do is you just want to measure how much it's going to take for it to lay there and lay there. Okay, so you've got your ribbons at the same length like that, and that is where you want that to come, because you want that to join just like that there. And then take this to your sewing machine, pop a pin in this piece here, and we're going to just stitch over the end of that ribbon there and over the end of that ribbon there like that. Okay, so just going to run our machine straight across here, a few back stitches, and then straight to the end, and a few back stitches, and that's that side done. And again, back stitch and over again, and a back stitch again. You want that one to be quite secure because that is where the children are going to pull at it. Take off that, cut off any long hair ends, and it's as simple as that. We're finished. So just go over and check that you don't have any ends. Got a few there, so I'll just take my scissors and I will chop them all off and make it nice and neat. So if you can't get that tablecloth that I used from Poundland, I've also got a couple of other options here. This is a 100% cotton fabric, and this I put this to use some masks, make some masks out of for Halloween. Just, you know, the mask we're wearing at the moment for COVID. Or you could just, I didn't have any black in my stash, but so you could just go and get maybe a black dress or a black shirt or something like that. But what you need to make sure is that you get a cotton or a poly cotton, so you've got something like that. You can get something from a charity shop or something like that, or you can go into a fabric shop and get it, or you can get it online. And the size we want is, the size of the tablecloth was 30 inches, so it's like that, and we had it by 20 inches. Okay, so I think a fat quarter would work for that, and you get a fat quarter for about £5. So you can see I probably would get, let's see, out of that one I'd get, that would be one cape, two capes out of that one, so one on this side, one on that side. Whereas if you go into Poundland, you're going to get two capes for £1. So just work out what you want to spend. Okay, I mean, this is a lovely fabric. This came from a haberdashery shop in Plymouth, so that was, my mum went in and picked that one up. But that's nice. But you can, as I say, you can get fabric like that from eBay and that. But I think just for this half a metre she paid £5.99, something like that. So you know, you're paying. But we're going to use these for mask, and you really want to use 100% cotton if you are going to make a mask, and then you want to use the non-woven fabric to go inside. So think about that if you are going to do that. So what I'm going to just show you is how we would do it quickly on here. So you'd cut it up, obviously, so you had your square, and you'd put your doll onto it. I'll just borrow Alice here, pop her hair out of the way. So you'd only probably need it to be up to there, okay, which is, let's have a look on my ruler. So that would be just a bit longer than her feet, because you need to do that turn up. So you'd need, let's have a look. So that's 11 inches, so you'd need 12 inches, okay? Because what you need to do then is take it over to your iron, and you do exactly the same as we did with the other one on the top. We'd fold this down, but we'd make sure first of all we'd do that 1/4 inch. So we'd put our piece of cardboard on, we'd take the iron and we'd fold over just that tiny 1/4 inch like that, okay, all the way along. And then you just press that along, so that was on 1/4 inch, but you do that the whole of the way across your top, okay? And then you'd come back once that was pressed down like that, and you'd fold it, but you'd fold it so it came over onto that 1/2 inch mark, okay, like that. Because what you have to be able to do is make a channel in there. So that's the channel inside. Can you see you've got all this space? That's where you're going to thread your ribbon through. Okay, so you do that all along there. Remember, we don't use these side pieces because they're made in a different way to the rest of the fabric. Okay, and then you would just go around along and you'd cut that off, and you'd take your iron again, so say that's cut off there, and then you would do your 1/4 inch one. So that's just that 1/4 inch, and then you do it again, you'd iron it again like that. So you've got that all the way along, and then you'd pop your pins in, okay, and you would just machine right down that. You do exactly the same on the bottom with this 2/4 inches folded. You'd sew that all the way along, and you'd sew that all the way along. Remember, okay, it'd probably be best if you do your sides and your bottom first, and then come over and do that top piece, because you need to have that hole open there so that you can thread your ribbon in. Okay, so there we go. That would, and then that would make the cape just exactly the same as what we did with the black fabric. So here is my witch's outfit. It's really nice. I've got the cape and I've got the dress. I'm going to put the hat on in a minute, but I just wanted you to see how the cape hung. It's just coming just underneath my skirt, and I think that's just about the right height for it. I don't want to be tripping over. So I'm going to get my hat now, and you can see how you like it all together. Here I am, all ready for Halloween. Hope you like it. Goodbye.